What's up, Detroit?
What's up, Detroit?
What's up?
Welcome to What's Up, Detroit. We're here today with two very, very special people to me, new friends in my life, and I truly appreciate them in the sisterhood of music. But we have the one and only Miss Joan Belgrave. Hey. And we have BJ, my homegirl in the Undisputed Truth.
Yay.
Sister. We're going to be talking about a little bit of everything today, but we want to welcome you guys here to What's Up Detroit, and thank you guys for following us for all of these weeks. We've had so much fun. It's not coming to an end. We got more to do, more stories to tell, right, Miss Joan?
Sounds right. Yes,
Miss
ma'am.
Joan going to host with me next week.
Yes, ma'am.
Yay! Yeah, we got some good stuff coming up. Hopefully we can talk about some entertainment law. Have a few people in here to talk about how to help people get their royalties. You know, for some that don't know, you know, the option is always available for them to get their money.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. Hey, the more you know, the further you go. Joan, you got to write a song about that.
Sounds good.
Joan's a really, really excellent songwriter.
Aw.
I was listening to one of her songs called Hey Love, and it just kind of stuck in my mind. As I'm talking, I still hear Hey Love. I'm not going to sing it because she has to surprise you with it, but it was a beautiful video that you did
Oh, thank you.
with your late husband,
you.
Marcus Belgrave,
Yeah.
and awesome, just awesome music. She's going to tell you more about her music as
I
we
will.
go along. And BJ, what you got going on, honey child?
I'm just excited. I have a boyfriend.
Oh, this is the new discovery. BJ has a boyfriend.
Well, you know, the ones that know me, they know I wasn't dating. I wasn't looking. I wasn't putting myself out there. It just happened automatically, and it's nice.
Yeah, but
it
love-
feels good to, you know, have someone that cares about you.
Yes,
And
yes.
shows it. Yeah.
Well, it looks good on you.
Thank you.
Love looks good on her, doesn't it?
Love looks good on
you're
anybody,
glowing,
as far as I'm
BJ.
concerned.
BJ's glowing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a few things that's going on in Detroit this weekend. One that I'm kind of excited about is the thing at the Dime. I try to follow Dime as much as possible because that's the new, that's the future of some of the music that's going to be coming out of Detroit.
Indeed.
At least in the next 5 to 10 years. And what's the young man that leads the program over there for the kids?
Oh, Drew.
Drew,
Yeah,
yes,
Drew
Drew Schultz. And he's doing such a great job.
I love him. He cares so much. You know,
Yeah.
you can see it in his spirit how he loves the children. I've worked with them about 3 times.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try to do some more stuff with him
Yes.
because I just enjoy being around our youth.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
so talented and they're anxious to know
Yeah.
about the music business. They're anxious to know about how you feel and what you went through in
Yeah,
life. And
yeah.
it's just it's overwhelming how much energy that they give you. Well, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
Daisy, because you're working with kids now yourself.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
love
you
children.
know, yeah.
But I work with kids in all capacities, you know, like if it's teaching, because my thing is like we have so many talented kids, but the thing that I appreciated that Motown did was they trained the kids how to be performers.
Yes.
And how to be artists.
Yes.
You know, how to look the part and, you know, other than just sounding good, you have to look good as well.
Yeah.
And so I like to teach them performance.
Yes.
And performance is knowing how to have your presence when you come on stage, knowing how to turn it on and off. For years, it took me a long time to be comfortable on stage. Because yeah,
Interesting.
I was really shy.
Aw.
I was super shy. However,
Well, you know who else was shy?
Who was that?
Marvin Gaye.
oh, was
Right.
He was so shy.
That's a genius right there, though.
But
man.
he was so shy.
Yeah.
Marcus used to have to make him get out from behind the drums to go sing
Wow.
out front. He didn't want to sing out front. He was very comfortable behind the piano, behind the drums. But when it came to standing, just him and the mic, he was terrified. He was so shy.
Wow.
So, you know,
It's all
don't
in
feel
good
bad.
company.
Yeah, you're in good
Mariah
company.
Carey had stage
Right.
fright for a long time. But it wasn't necessarily a stage fright with me. It was more just being shy because
Yes.
I didn't want to let people in.
Right.
And then when I learned how to turn that into performance, then I was able to separate the artist from the daisy. I guess I could say it like that.
Okay.
That's some really good information. Sometimes it takes those kind of tricks for certain people to get over the hump. And once I learned how to get over the hump, I was like, oh, this is easy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
I
natural.
You're
It just
natural.
becomes natural.
Yeah.
Right, it does
yeah.
become a
You're
natural. So,
natural.
so John, I want you to tell me a little something about you that I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's a lot I don't know. But she's a fabulous singer. I've been watching her videos.
Thank you.
I've been checking you out on Facebook and wherever I can see you at.
Right.
Your energy is just dynamic.
It is.
You have this
It
awesome
is.
spirit here.
You're so
And you're
sweet.
so sweet.
Yes.
And when I met you, I was just so happy to meet you. I was like, finally, I get to meet Joan.
I know. Wasn't it? Well, I know
Yeah.
my first meeting was when you came to the studio.
Ah, to the recording
Yes.
studio.
And
yeah.
it was my birthday, and
Yes.
she walks
Yeah.
in with Joe.
We had a
and
party
it's
with
like, Yeah, that's
Yeah.
my first encounter with Joe, and it was like, oh my God,
And y'all
she
was
is
tearing it
so
up. Y'all were
sweet.
tearing it
Oh,
up.
well, thank
She
you.
is so
See, that's
sweet.
very flattering
Yes.
coming from you because
Yes.
you know, your experience, where you've been, the people you've been around, that's a high compliment. And I really, really thank you and appreciate you for that comment.
Well, you know, I think back, and it's just blessing. It's just all God, and you know, I just ask Him every day to order my steps,
Yeah.
and to continue to have me do whatever it is that He would have me do. I mean, I started singing when I was about 3 years old,
Oh, wow.
3 or 4 years old, and my mother was a singer,
Okay.
and back when I was young, in 19 blah blah blah.
Right.
Well, I'm not. Look, I'm 62. So back when I was a little girl, my parents. I lived in a neighborhood. I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. People think I'm from California, but I'm not. I'm from here. My mom and dad, they would have house parties. They wouldn't have house parties, but they would go to house parties.
Okay.
They wouldn't go out clubs and stuff like they do now.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like now people go out to a club, they get a babysitter for the kids.
Right.
But then they would take us with them.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, see, it's a whole different thing.
That's right, yeah.
And that was the norm for me. Whenever they socialized, they would go to each of their friends' house. It would be a very safe, controlled environment. They would put us kids in a room, and we would have our little record player with our 45s and our little games and stuff. And they would be in the other room having their fun, singing, listening to music,
Yeah.
playing cards,
Yes.
just whatever it is that they do. And my mom would always come and grab me, and she would have me stand in the middle, and I would sing, and she would sing with me.
Oh, nice.
And so for me, it seems like it has always been a part of me.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, it's never been a performance thing for me. It's just me.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that the calmness comes from just familiarity.
Okay.
You know, just people say, well, how do you do that? It doesn't matter to me whether I'm singing in front of a crowd of 20, 30,000, which I have, or 2 or 3 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It doesn't matter, because what happens to me when I'm the music, it becomes a part of me. You know, my favorite jazz singer is Billie Holiday, and I listened to Billie because I loved her story.
Yeah.
I love the
Yeah,
fact
yeah.
that she sang with feeling.
Yes.
You know, no matter what was going on in her life,
Right.
she could sing the same song, but if something had happened to her that day, that song would sound completely different.
Yes.
It wasn't like marching band,
Right.
you know, where
Right.
everything was the same every
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Yes.
Her emotion was in there, and I think that for music, for me, there has to be emotion in it. There has to be there has to be something that I can relate to in that song,
Yeah.
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 or else I'm not going to sing it. I don't just sing songs, you
Yeah.
know. I don't just write songs. To me, the songs write themselves, and I'm just the vessel that comes out and does it. But you know, I learned at a very young age that you know, music is what I wanted to do. And then I moved out to California, and it's funny because my mom said, "Don't get married, don't get married."
Oh, wow.
And she says, because you'll stop singing. She has 6 kids, so she knew. But, you know, I fell in love, and I stopped singing for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Didn't open my mouth, not even in church.
Oh,
I know.
That's quite some
right.
time, Jackie.
Well, because, you know, I had 3 children.
yeah.
I got married, I had 3 children, and I decided that it was my job to give them whatever it was that they needed. And if I was singing, I couldn't do that because,
Yeah.
you know, it just wouldn't work because I would have to have them on the road and I would be torn, you know, because I love the music so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So I just cut it all off. All of it, even gospel. And I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I know I'll never forget the day that I started back singing, and I went to my church out in California, and I went to the choir, and I auditioned for the choir, and the choir director looked at me and he said, "You've been sitting in that pew for all this time, and you didn't come up here and sing."
Wow.
You know, so having, of course,
How you been blocking the gift?
right,
Yes.
exactly. But because I mean, I sang to my children. You know, I sang in the house, but I never sang publicly. What started all back was my father passed in 1994, and I came back to Michigan. My mother asked me to sing at his funeral. I hadn't
Okay.
sung publicly, like I
Oh,
said,
wow,
for 15 years.
years.
And at his funeral, it was almost like an epiphany.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I could see myself singing. I was singing, but it's like I was watching myself. And he kept saying to me, "Why aren't you singing?
Oh, wow.
You know that's what you are. You know that's what you do. Why aren't you singing?" So when I went back to California, I started singing again.
Okay.
You know, and that waterfall just opened up. You know,
Yes.
and because I was without music for so long,
Yeah.
now it's such a joy for me. You know, no matter what kind of music. I mean, I studied classical music with Willis Patterson at
Okay.
University of Michigan and Interlochen. I went to
Yeah.
Interlochen, so I studied classical. And you know, I sing gospel, I sing blues, I sing jazz. I even on my very first CD, no, that was my second CD. The first CD was a tribute to Billie Holiday. It was
Okay.
called Emotions Blue. The second CD was called Variations. And on that CD, I wrote even a country song.
Oh, wow.
Why do you treat me the way you do when all I've been
Storytelling.
is good to you?
Oh, wow. That
You know,
sounds like it could be blues, too.
Right, right.
Yes.
So to me, music is music.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Right.
I don't like for people to pigeonhole me and say, "Oh, you know, she's a jazz singer." I am a
Right.
jazz singer, but I'm also a blues singer.
Yeah.
I'm also a gospel singer.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm also an R&B singer.
That's right,
Yes.
right.
You know,
I agree.
so
All encompassing.
I think
Yes.
that especially women in the business, people like to pigeonhole us.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, they
Yeah.
like to say, "Well, she's this and she's that," but I break all of that.
Yeah,
you know,
you
I
do.
don't, I
You
don't,
have to do
I
that.
don't, I don't accept any of it. I don't
Yeah.
accept
I don't
any of it.
either.
You know, my second CD, Variations, was released in 90 something. I think 96. And back then, Tower Records,
Okay.
they didn't know where to put it
Oh, wow.
because it had too much on it. You know, it had jazz, it had
Too many
blues, it
styles,
had
yeah.
gospel, it had country. You know, and they said, "Well, we don't know where to put you." Well, nowadays that's not the issue,
Right.
Right.
Because
It's unlimited.
you can download one song,
Yes.
you know, and you can download it into whatever genre you want.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
So I think for people today, I think the world is wide open.
And I love that, too,
Yeah.
because it took away classifying
Yeah.
singers. And it
I
also
think they
took
still
away.
try to classify.
Yeah,
I think they
yeah.
still try, but I think that if you, like, even now people say, "Well, you're a jazz singer." Well, I am, and I love jazz.
Yeah.
You know, but my root is gospel.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
that's where my root is.
Right.
So I bring that into everything that I do, whether
Yeah.
it be jazz
Yes.
or blues or whatever. So, but I think that people still will try to pigeonhole you, especially female singers.
Yeah.
You know.
Yes. I
You know,
noticed
so-
that.
I don't know. I
noticed
try
it
to
more
be
since I came
unlimited.
back here.
Yes.
See, they don't do that on the West Coast so much.
Okay.
But here, I noticed it's like, well, what kind of songs do you do? Oh, you're a such
Yeah.
and such.
Yeah.
No, I'm like, don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's
I
one thing I
love
like about the younger
everything.
group, because
They're
they
not
don't
like that.
pigeonhole themselves
Yeah.
into anything, you know. And even though I'll use India Arie as an example,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she came out one time acoustic, the very beginning.
Right,
Her music
right.
turned into some spiritual music
Mm-hmm.
at another time. It got back to earthy R&B, you know. So she kind of kept it unlimited. And the thing that I loved about what she did was that she didn't let that or the society or
Industry.
the makers or the
Define
name
her.
makers or the defining people to define you. She
Yeah.
didn't let them define her,
Right.
even down to her look.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I think that's really, really important. Come on, girl, I'm hard on
It's-
it.
You know, it's funny because people tell me all the time that I change my looks like the weather.
That's good.
Yeah.
And
well,
it's true. You know,
yeah.
it's however I feel.
That's
And that's what it
right.
should be.
That's the way it is. I don't
Yeah.
get stuck in. And
No.
you might see me like this today, and then next week it's like people walk right past me. They don't know who I am.
Oh, that's Joan.
Right.
I've done that, Joan.
I know.
I was like, oh, that's, I didn't know that was Joan.
Right. Right.
It was the look. Her looks changed, and she's got, I don't know, Mother Earth right here. But I love that.
Black Queen.
Then she's got the
Black
chic
Queen,
with the
Black
short hair
Queen.
chic. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I love that short hair.
Yes, yes.
That is
Thank
so
you.
sharp. I got to do it one day. And it's like BJ. BJ does the same thing too. You know, because when I
Yes.
first met you, it was one way. I met the mother.
Yes.
I met the mother, BJ.
Right.
And then as we started doing the gigs, I met the homegirl.
Right.
But I love it. You know, and
Yeah. Well, I get bored with myself.
yeah,
You know, I mean, when I say that, I mean how I look.
yeah.
So yeah, just like now, I'm you know doing this, but
Yeah, yeah.
tomorrow I might be doing something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's me who I am doing it for.
Yes.
I
yes.
just put it that way.
And for
Right.
me, it also depends on what I'm doing, what hat I have on. Like I have on a producer hat, if I have on a studio hat, if
Okay.
I have on a road manager hat, if I have on a performer hat.
Yeah.
You know, it just depends on what I'm doing. You know, it's designed to be functional for what it is that I
Yes.
need.
Okay, so now you talked about all the different hats you wear. So tell us some of the hats, because I know you're multi-talented. So share that with us.
I've been fortunate to be mentored. Let's see, the first production that I did, Doug and African Jamal Davis in California, they took me under their wing, and Doug Edwards in Berkeley, California, and they used to produce these live broadcasts.
Okay.
Live radio broadcasts. So they would get the band, they would find the venue.
Oh, wow.
They would get the engineer board, get all of that together. And so they basically are the reason that I do that, because they took me in under their wings
Yeah,
and let me
yeah.
watch
Yes.
and let me see how it was done. And, you know, then I became a producer and I was doing my own stuff. It's so funny because when I moved back to Michigan, moved back to Detroit, I was producing a B3 concert, a Hammond B3 concert. I had Dr. Lonnie Smith, Tony Monaco, and I was doing a series, and I had met Marcus. I went to Burt's to do some promo
Okay.
for.
No, I don't want to cut you off, John, but what year did you move back?
Yeah.
Because that's.
I believe it was
somebody-
2004 or 2003, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
I know my youngest son was going to University of Michigan playing football, and I moved back because I wanted to see him play.
Okay.
Okay.
Be closer.
And you know, I stayed in
Yes.
California until all my children had graduated from high
Okay.
school. They were all out in college and stuff, so I'm like, okay, I can sell the house now. I can leave. But yeah, so I had come back and I had done some promo down at Burt's, and I walked in, and of course I went to the jam session. Bill Meyer, he credits that he introduced me to Marcus, but actually it was my church organist Michael Ross who took me
Okay.
there. He took me there, and he said, if you want to find the best jazz musicians, this is where you have to go.
Okay.
And so after I sang, you know, Marcus came up to me and he said, where are you from? And I said, I'm from here. He said, I know all the singers from here, and I would have known you.
Yes.
Right.
yes.
And I had 2 CDs that I had produced already, because I used to manage a recording studio out in San Jose.
Okay.
Beautiful recordings. Tony Bennett, used to come there and record. So what I'm saying is, it was a very,
Top-
it was
top of the
a $1 million recording
Tony
studio.
Bennett don't play.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So my CDs were high quality.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it afforded me. I wanted to learn everything I could about the business.
Okay.
So I managed. I went and I got hired to manage the recording studio. So I learned everything about the studio.
Yeah.
They had a CD replication. It was a one-stop shop.
Oh, wow.
So,
So they do everything.
yeah. So
Yeah.
an artist could come there. They could record. They could get their CDs pressed. We had a video shoot
Oh, wow.
department, so they could come and get their video shot. And we also pressed cassettes.
Oh, wow.
Right there on site.
Okay.
The CDs we outsourced because it wasn't like burning CDs. There's a difference between a burned CD and a replicated CD.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that. They think this little CD that you make at home is the same as a
No,
It's not because of some
Quality.
systems. The quality is different. It won't play on certain
Right,
systems,
right.
et cetera. And you learn that afterwards, after you spend all this money.
Yes.
And you got
On
it.
CDs.
Burned instead of replicated. So I managed all of that. I took care of the artist from the beginning to the end.
Okay.
And then I got hired away from that job to go work for the CD replication house
Oh, wow.
because
So now she's in the technical aspect.
right, because I wanted to see. Well, they offered me a lot of money, but
Okay.
I really wanted to have a firsthand knowledge of how CDs were made.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
With the green room and everything from the beginning to shrink wrap and
Okay,
and,
okay.
and everything
Overall production of the CD.
everything.
Yeah.
And so I think that so by the time I came to Marcus, I was cool.
Yeah.
And with him it was really funny because most people, especially singers that came to him, wanted something. And he said this to me so many times that they wanted him to help them with their career, to help
wow.
them help them
Okay.
get a CD, to make introductions for them, to help them go in the studio, something.
Yeah.
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 Well, I didn't want nothing.
Right.
You
Yes.
know, I mean, I already had CDs. I knew what I was doing, and I was producing the show.
Yes.
So I asked him. I heard him play, and I went, "Ooh, this brother got some chops." I watched him get up on stage, and I've seen this over and over and over, how the musicians would all of a sudden solidify.
Yes.
I mean, everybody's doing their own thing, showing
Right.
off. But then when he got on stage, everybody played as an ensemble.
Yeah.
And it just sounded so good.
Uh-huh.
So I asked him, I said, do you think you could put a band together and open up this show, this series that I'm producing?
Okay.
I had no idea who he was. I'm asking Marcus
Did he
Belgrade.
chuckle a little bit?
He said, well, I could probably do that. He said, but on one condition, you got to sing a song on the show. I'm like, no problem.
Okay.
No problem. So basically, I mean, I hired him. I paid him very well. And this was so funny to me. I produced the show. He did a Ray Charles thing.
Okay.
And I sang a couple Ray Charles songs for him. And he tried to pay me. I'm giving him the check.
That's
And he
funny.
turns around to give me a check. I'm
Right.
like, I'm the promoter.
Right. Right.
You
That's
know?
funny.
Wow.
But that taught me that he valued no matter what.
Yes.
I mean, even I was the promoter.
Yes.
That was my promoter hat.
Right.
Yes.
But I also had a singer hat.
Yes. Yes.
So if I'm producing something for someone and they're paying me to produce a show and they want me to sing on it,
Yes.
that's
Right.
2 fees
Yes.
that they have to come up with.
That's
Yes.
right.
So he put that in my mind. For me,
Okay.
it didn't used to be that way. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
because-
already there.
Right.
And I love to sing. He's like, no, baby, you got to value yourself.
That's right.
If you don't value yourself, nobody else will.
will.
So that started my producing hat and as far as my studio recordings, I produced I don't think I have 7 CDs, I think. And what was really funny is that on the You Don't Know Me CD, which is a tribute to New Orleans, Ray Charles, and the Great Ladies of Song, that was the first time Marcus had recorded vocals in the studio.
Oh, wow.
Now, he had recorded vocals before, but it was always live.
Okay.
Like people had done like a live recording.
Yeah,
He's comfortable on stage.
Yes,
That's his area. And in the studio, he's comfortable too on the
Yeah.
trumpet.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Yes.
when he had to sing in the
It-
studio, he
it-
got nervous. I'm like,
It's taking him. See,
it took him out of
Yes.
his comfort zone.
Yes.
You know, he did a wonderful job, but I thought it was really interesting that even this master musician who'd been in the studio with Ray Charles
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and Marvin Gaye and
yes,
whoever, that
Yes.
that he actually was nervous
wow,
in the studio. And I'm like, so I had to calm him down,
Okay.
and say, hey, baby, just look at me.
yes,
Just look at me. It's fine.
Oh, that's
No
awesome.
problem.
Yeah.
And he did. I remember him and Charlie Gabriel rehearsing for this song on the project called "Life Is So Peculiar." It was a song that Louis Armstrong and Louis Jordan did, and it was a duet. Had a lot of words.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And to hear the two of them
Wow.
rehearsing those lines, because I used to tell them all the time. I said, well, if you're gonna be a singer, you got to learn the words.
Right.
I mean, that's
Always say that.
I know.
people think that being a vocalist is easy, but we have to put in the work. I mean, for me, people who get up on stage with their little words, no.
Yeah, I feel you.
I don't understand because
I'm totally
music
with
is
you.
so important to me. I don't understand how you can feel a song, how you
Right.
can
If you're reading
interpret
it.
How can you
Yes.
interpret a song if you don't know it?
Amen.
You know,
'Cause it's a
How can
story.
the audience get the message intended for the song if you're
Yeah.
reading
They
it?
can't.
story.
I mean, I understand like Barbara Streisand always has her lyrics up. I get that, I mean, but she knows the song. They're just there in case she forgets them.
Yes.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not that she's relying on them.
Right.
Yes.
It's
Right.
just kind of like a safety thing, a safety net.
Yes.
But, so I have the performer, like when I did, and I have a producer, like you guys were part
Yeah.
of my Aretha Franklin
Yes.
Which was
production.
Fabulous show.
Fantastic. Oh
It
my
was so much
God.
fun.
The DIA, the folks
was
Rudy
fabulous.
over at the DIA, when they came to me with that project, I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
yes. But I knew that for the Queen, it had to be top notch. To me, it was one of the best productions that I felt I had done.
And
Because
it was one of the
felt
best celebrations though. For
because
Aretha
it
Franklin.
felt
Yeah.
so good.
It did.
Yeah.
I mean, from the beginning to the end, it was so much love and talent, and you can see that the people that came,
Yeah.
they enjoyed it so much. You could feel it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, everybody loves Aretha.
but it wasn't just.
But it's not just that, because I've seen a
Aretha.
couple of tributes to Aretha.
Yeah.
But the DIA, the one you did, was different.
It was.
It had a different energy to it. The love was so overwhelming. And I don't think it's
Yes.
necessarily, it was for Aretha, but it was just for what you put together in that community of people.
Yes.
I walked in and I knew almost
It was
everybody
done by
there. It was
people who
great.
knew her.
Yes.
And that was the difference.
Okay.
It wasn't just random.
Right.
It was done by people who actually knew her and loved her.
Yeah.
And I think that
Makes a
made the
difference.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the love and respect that they have for you as well.
Yeah.
Because you can't eliminate that. I know we like to pull ourselves out, but there's a power in what you do. People will follow you because they love you.
Well, I think that a lot, as far as production goes, is respect. Is
Yes.
love, but it's also respect because I come to the table with my stuff together.
Yes, you do.
And I think a lot of that has to do with being having it organized.
Yes.
You can't be a good producer if you're not organized.
Yeah, that's right. That is so true.
And you have to know. I think I learned this, of course, from African and from Doug Edwards, but I used to be a production control planner. And for people who don't know what that is, a production control planner oversees the overall project. It was for the big computers that do in Hollywood that do
Okay.
Tron and all of that. That make, so every little piece. So a production control planner has to work with the engineers.
Okay.
They have to work with the material people. They have to work with the designers. They have to work with the quality
Yeah,
control.
yeah.
Make sure
Their
everything's
job is to make sure that from the start to the finish,
Yes.
that product is what it's supposed to
Right,
be.
right.
Yes.
And so doing that, I learned how to work with people.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And work with different departments. So
Yes.
so I know that I don't know everything,
Yeah.
but I know people who do.
You know who to hire. hire.
I know who to
Yeah.
get.
But see,
to
that's
do it.
key.
Right.
Yes, it is.
And I think a lot of people think they know everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they try to do it all themselves.
Yes.
And that doesn't work.
No.
You know, so I think with being open to knowing that I don't know it all and being organized and the love of what I do, I think that's what everything
She's preaching.
boils down.
For real, you preaching. I mean, I want to talk about that some more because that's a real thing. I know exactly what you're talking about. You know,
Right.
being hired as a musical director, and I didn't go to school for music, but I know what works.
Yes.
I don't know if you would call me a music director, but,
Yeah, but you
I
are.
program
No,
that
you are.
service every weekend. And I'm not saying it happens by osmosis, but I know the spirits are working with me in that production every Sunday because people leave with a full feeling, and that's really, really important. Okay, we're going to take a small break, you guys. I'm sorry. I just want to keep going on that because that just touched me. That almost brought tears to my eyes. Joan is so powerful. We're going to take a small break, but we want you guys to stay. We're going to show you some of the photos from Joan's photo she brought of Marcus Belgrave when they named the street after him.
Ah,
And we're going to talk a little more about that and then about your project here that you're working on now. Okay?
'Cause it's
Stay with us,
October
you
too.
guys.
Hey, baby. I know we've been having some struggles, but you know, we've been through a lot together, and I don't think now's the time to say goodbye. I just want to tell you how much you really mean to me. You know, it's you and me. Hey, love. Hey, love. Hey, love. Hey, love. Baby, you've been on my mind. On my mind. Hey, love. Hey, love. Hey, love. Hey, love. You're looking mighty fine. Ooh, don't you miss me, baby? Don't you think of me? Don't you think of me sometime? You are such a part of me. Loving you is all I see. Don't you know you're made to be mine? Ooh, hey love, hey love, hey love, hey love. Baby, you've been on my mind. Hey love, hey love, ooh, hey love, hey love. You are looking mighty fine. Sometimes I can hear your voice. Sometimes I can feel your touch. Baby, I've been missing you so much. You are such a part of me. Loving you is all I see. Don't you know you're made to be mine? Hey love, hey love, hey love, hey love. Baby, you've been on my mind. Hey love, hey love, hey love, hey love. You're looking mighty fine. Hey love, hey love, ooh, hey love, hey love. Baby, you've been on my mind. Ooh, hey love, hey love, hey love, hey love. Can I have some of your time? Ooh, no, 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 don't move so close to me like that. Ooh, hey love. You know
Welcome back to What's Up Detroit. We're here again with the one and only Miss Joan Belgrave and my homegirl, the one and only BJ. We were just talking to Joan about some of her ventures and her skills and the talents and the things that she's done over the years. And when I say skills, I mean just in the working aspect of the skill, but now we're going to talk about her creative aspect and really her God-given talent, which is, to me, her music. Her voice is beautiful, and if you haven't heard her, you need to check out some of her music. She had released a CD 2009, was it? Mm-hmm. That was Grammy nominated
Yes.
in 2010.
Excitable.
Yeah, look at you, child. Some of us are just dreaming about that. But you can pick up her music as well. It's available on all digital formats.
Everywhere on iTunes and Amazon and
Yeah.
all of those places where you buy music. CD Baby.
This is the one, Excitable.
Mm-hmm.
And what number in the CD list was this one? Was it like 2, 3, 4?
4.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she's got a sexy photo on the front. She's in the
Marcus
water.
took that picture, actually.
Did he?
Marcus took that picture. We were in Barbados.
Okay.
And at the Hilton
Mm-hmm.
in Barbados, and I'm a water person. I
Yeah.
just love the water.
That-
And I was walking
we
out. Yeah, I was Cancer.
I
Yes.
know.
There we go. Yeah, we're all cancers.
All cancers.
We're just one person up here today.
Right,
We just got different bodies.
And I was walking out to the beach in the water. It was real rocky there, and I remember pulling up my little wrap thing because I didn't want it to get wet. And Marcus snapped that picture. I didn't even know he was taking it.
Oh, wow.
You know. And then we got back, and he suggested. He said, "Well, you should use that as the album cover." I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah,
He's like,
it's
So
great. It's a beautiful photo.
That's when I had
Beautiful.
dreadlocks.
And then I see you have some people that I know on here. You have
Mm-hmm.
Bill Meyer on here. It's Miss Gaylen McKinney. Yes. Marion Hayton's on here. I love the power of women because
Yeah.
we just kind of bring
Dynamic
it all
duo.
together.
Sisterhood,
Yes. But it's beautiful. Where can they get this one at?
Same everywhere.
Everywhere. Okay, so you guys check it out. And then there's another one here that you have. And it says Marcus Belgrave presents a tribute to New Orleans and Ray Charles. This is the one you spoke about earlier.
Yeah, that has Marcus actually picked all the songs. It's there's he decided he wanted to do a tribute to New Orleans and Ray Charles.
Okay.
And he picked all the songs on there, and I was just honored that he let me be
Yeah.
a part of it.
Yes.
So
Well, it's very nice.
Yeah.
So I'm going to listen to these.
Okay.
And, I like to put my own little collection together of my favorites. So don't be surprised if you call me one day and you're in the background. And you're playing in my car on my CD player. And then you had another album here.
yes.
That's of Marcus. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. Well, Marcus's biggest CD or biggest album was Gemini, and his street was named. I had 3 weeks ago. We thank goodness the city of Detroit and City Council President Bridget Jones and
Oh, yes.
Stephen Grady, Carl Craig. They were all facilitated him getting his street named Marcus Belgrave Avenue.
Yes.
Right at the corner of Aretha Franklin
I know,
Way.
right? And hold on one second. I think we have photos for that.
Yeah.
Because I like for them to see the photos and to actually see the corner where that was at.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I
awesome.
just thought that was beautiful.
It was amazing. I mean, God works. And so I had this CD released the same day.
Okay.
This is his Gemini album. I was telling the ladies on the break that I had people from all over the world asking me to reissue this album.
Wow.
And I decided no, I wanted it to be issued by a Detroit label.
Oh,
so it's
okay.
issued by Detroit Planet E.
Yes.
Carl Craig, and it's available in Detroit right now. It will be globally, but they're holding off on that because it was a limited edition
Okay.
release.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was released especially for the street naming.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Which
God
is very,
good.
very nice
Yeah.
and an honor in
What an
itself. It's like,
honor.
ooh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw photos from the street naming, and I just thought it was beautiful. She had it all set up. She's such a producer. She had it all set. I was like, wow, it was a whole production.
Yes.
I was like, oh,
It pretty much was.
Yes, very
It
nice.
was,
Okay, so in this photo, this is
That's Ray Charles,
Yes.
Marcus. That's the street naming.
Okay.
That's the street naming right there with his son Kasan and his daughter Akua and his grandchildren.
okay.
Oh.
Yep.
Very nice. And I think we're going to show one more photo. I think it's the actual photo of his name and Aretha Franklin's name.
Yeah, it's at the corner of John R. and Madison Avenue. There we go.
Yeah, very
Aretha
nice.
Franklin Way and Marcus Belgrave Avenue.
Yeah.
So, go down and check it out. Take a picture by it. Hashtag it Marcus Belgrave Avenue so that it can all be in the same place.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
beautiful, though.
it's a blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, he mentored people here for 54 years, and so he deserved that street
Yeah.
name.
That's right.
And all the young people are trying to live up to.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to announce something here that I haven't talked about yet, but I also put together a Marcus Belgrave Legacy Band,
Oh, nice.
and so I will be touring with it and taking it out to the world and playing his music and telling his story. And the first show, I'm taking 4 groups to New York in January.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Nice.
wonderful.
Yeah, and the Marcus Legacy Band will be part of that.
Okay.
So it'll be a Detroit night in New York
Yes.
for the Winter Jazz Festival.
Wow.
So-
See, she's powerful.
I know.
I'm
and
like,
I
she's
noticed-
always doing something, and she's so
They
humble.
love
I'm
her
doing
in
okay.
New York. I
Yes.
have noticed that. Yeah, you get called there a whole lot, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be here in Ann Arbor on October 18th,
18th, yeah.
at
Okay.
the brand new, beautiful club called the Blue Llama. It really
Okay.
if you guys have ever been to Dizzy's in New York, it's on Broadway and 60th and Broadway. Just
Okay.
fabulous club. The Blue Llama really reminds me of that.
Okay.
It doesn't have the view of Central Park.
Right, right.
But everything else, the atmosphere, the staff, the food, it's
Okay.
an upscale supper club.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember the one that we had, what was the name of that jazz club that we had?
It was a while
in
ago.
Southfield.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I
talking
can't
about?
remember the name, but I know what you're talking
But
about.
it,
Yes.
it puts you in that same.
Okay.
It's that same. So it's
okay.
it's grown folks.
Okay.
Yes.
Grown
but
folks type
get
of
dressed up, go out to a nice place, listen
Yeah.
to some music, and have a wonderful meal.
Now,
Yes.
what time does that start, Joan?
There's 2 sets,
Okay.
2 shows, one at 7:00 and one I think at 9:30.
Okay.
And again, it's the Blue Llama in Ann Arbor, and it's brand new. They just opened up less than a year.
Wow.
I think,
Okay.
but they're bringing in cats like Ravi Coltrane,
Ooh.
and they're bringing in some good stuff. So
Okay.
I'm happy to perform for them and push
Yes.
them because it takes people to make these live venues
It sure
work,
does.
and we're
Yes.
thankful that we have live places to play.
Yeah.
And, we get spoiled here.
Yes, we do.
because we
Yes.
have so much, and you don't
Talent.
realize until you go other places how blessed you are.
Yeah,
they
that's
say the
right.
grass is always greener on the other side, but a lot of times the grass is green
Right
at home.
here, right
here.
And then
Really
once
green.
and you don't realize it until you're without it.
Right.
But there's a plethora of wonderful venues, wonderful musicians, wonderful
yes.
vocalists. I
Right
mean,
here.
it's just
Yeah,
it's-
it always amazes me when I see how many after over the years that I've been singing here in the city. It's like it's just so many people.
It is. I
You know,
noticed
so
it.
many young people coming. I love the children.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I
of
talk about
course.
the young people all the time, don't I?
course.
I'm
Yeah.
still young.
Right.
Anyhow,
I think I'm young.
I know I
only
am.
as old as you feel. Joan, you look good. I'm just saying. Anyhow, but what you do provides that opportunity for young people to see
Absolutely.
you. They're exposed to the legacy
Right.
that's here.
Right, and I always try to bring some young folks along. Like there'll be
Yes.
a surprise young folk on my show on October 18th.
Okay.
So yeah, and God is good. You got to do that because if you don't pull them along, then where will they go?
Yeah.
Yes.
I do have to ask you about the Grammy nomination. Now,
Ah.
now I know that was like a point in your life when you was like, ding, I got it.
Well, I didn't win.
Yes.
But I looked down, for me, just looking down on the list and seeing Freddie Cole and Diana Krall and my name
know,
right
right?
there, I went,
Yes.
I'm good.
That's
Yes,
right.
exactly,
You know,
right?
Company.
I'm good.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
God is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
but
beautiful.
the Recording Academy, it does a wonderful job. They have my good friend Howard Hertz is one of the upper folks in the Recording Academy, and he urged me to do that. The submissions, actually right now, the voting is on right now for next year's Grammys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
everything has to be in by before October 1st.
Okay.
So that's something for you folks to know, that if you want your project to be considered, you have to have it in before October 1st. It has to be released
Okay.
before October 1st to be considered
Gotcha.
for the next year's Grammys, which are
Right.
usually in February.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That is a very good
Yeah.
piece of information.
So, like I said, I was supposed to get some stuff done, but I missed the date, so I got till next year. You know, it's something that you learn. You learn. You don't release anything in December
Yeah.
or November. Although I did release I have a Christmas project
Oh, you
called
do?
Merry Christmas Baby. Yeah.
Sassy Jazzy.
Oh my gosh, it's so sassy. But you know, as a general rule, you don't release anything in November because it's the end of the year. You
Right.
usually hold it and release it in January because that gives
Right.
you a whole year to
promote
promote
it,
it
right.
in order so that it's part
Right.
of the Grammys.
Okay. Okay. So that's what we should be expecting from you soon.
Next year,
Okay.
yeah.
Now we're looking for that.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to ask because I saw the Aretha Franklin thing. You know, we was a part of it. What's the next big production that you're putting together outside of what you mentioned in relation to the band?
Well, there's you mean the Detroit in New York is going to be a big deal.
Yes.
That's a huge production.
Okay.
Like I said, it will incorporate 4 different. There'll be a vocal aspect. There'll be an aspect that plays all of Marcus's music. There'll be a Detroit jazz masters aspect, and then the last aspect will be all of Marcus's proteges taking it forward.
Oh.
Wow.
Ooh, that should be good.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big production.
Yes,
Good.
yes.
But what I'm really excited about is the show that I did at the Charles Wright Museum called Our Music, Our Lives.
Okay.
And basically what that show does, it talks about how black music, for me, and I think for a lot of people, chronicles our lives throughout the years,
Yes.
throughout history. And I'm really, really excited that there's been some interest to take that show national and international.
Oh, wow.
And so that's going to be one of my big productions.
Oh, nice.
Because it takes the music from the beginning with just the drums leading the slaves to to freedom to the
Right.
north, and it goes from there into gospel, from there into blues,
Ooh.
from there into jazz,
Yes,
I
yes.
love
from
it.
jazz into funk and R&B.
Yes.
You know, and it ended up with the last tune that we did was Stevie Wonder's Higher Ground.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Which is also spiritual because
Yes.
Right.
I do that on Sundays.
Right.
Yes.
But I mean, it says no matter what, we're
Yes.
going to keep going and
That's
keep
right.
climbing. So, but for me, the music has always been I used to say that the men in my life will come and go,
Yes.
but my music is constant
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
and will
yes.
always be there,
Yes.
no matter what,
That's
Right.
right.
you know. So,
That's a hard thing for some men to swallow. You know that, right? Understand it. You're married to
you
your
can
music.
say that people in your life will come and go.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, because even your children, I love
That's
my
right.
children, but you know, they change, right? They start out being these little bitty people that you're their every world, and then they
Right.
grow, and then you want them to grow and fly,
Yes,
Right.
you
and
do.
do what they do, and go and do their thing,
Yes.
and you know, so everything changes.
Yes,
Right.
it
Right.
does.
But
That's a good way of saying
For
it.
me, the music has never changed.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It never will change. It will always be there no matter what. So if I'm sad, I sometimes write a sad song. If
Yeah,
I'm happy, I write a happy song.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I go back to Billie Holiday, what I said in the very beginning. It depends on what's going on in life.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
You know?
yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think that the men that I deal with think that way because that's just me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when I met Marcus, like I said, I had a divorce, and I didn't want to deal with anybody.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, all I'm doing is music, and I told him, you know, we can work together, you know, but, you know,
Yeah.
that's it.
Right.
Yes.
So we worked together for over a year before we
wow.
even dated.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Wow.
because I don't want that.
Yeah.
Because as
Yeah.
women, you know, and I guess men too. I don't know if men in the business do it as much as women do, but we tend to turn the focus onto them. You know, we tend, as nurturers, I'm a nurturer.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
I tend to want to make sure they okay. I want to make
Right.
sure that they got what they need.
Yes, yes.
And what that does is it takes a little bit away from
does.
what you need to do.
Yes.
Right.
Because you're only one person,
That's
you know,
right.
and even though we know how to multitask,
Right.
Yes.
you know,
That's
so, you know, when I met him, I didn't, you know, and I think that, again, that might have made me more attractive to him.
Yeah.
because I didn't want him
Yes.
in that
yes.
capacity.
I can believe that.
You know?
Yes.
But I think that as far as your question, I don't see that because the people that well, first of all, I'm not even there, but the people that I hang around, they know how I am.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
and I was without my music for 15 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So that ain't going to happen again.
That's right, right. Said I got a journey. Yeah,
Right.
knowing,
Right.
but knowing that it's good.
I
you
think
know.
that if you know
clarity.
it in the
Yes.
beginning,
Yes.
you know, then there's no issue.
That's
Right.
I think that if you come into it with false expectations, you know, as women in the business, you know, it's a hard thing for a man to have whoever it is that they love
Yes.
up there be the object of
I know,
someone
right?
else's desires.
It's a hard thing.
right?
Yes, it
It's
is.
a hard thing for
Yes,
them
it
to
is.
have. One thing that I loved about Marcus was that not only was he not intimidated by it, but he pushed me to do more.
Yeah.
And that's what you need.
You know, and that's what you need. And
Yeah.
if you don't have somebody in your corner
That's that strong.
who's pushing you
push
to
you.
do more
Yes.
instead of being intimidated or you know, feeling like their ego is bruised. Look, I always say this thing: if I love you, and if she loves you, if he loves you, they really love you.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you're doing or who you're with.
Yeah.
You know where your loyalties
That's right.
are.
That's right.
And if you don't know where your
That's
loyalties are, then you don't need to be with them.
That's
right.
right.
You know, if you have to
right.
worry about me being with somebody else, then you don't need me.
That's right.
And if I have to worry about you being with someone else, then
Right.
I don't need you. And
That's
that brings
right.
in a whole bunch of dynamics.
Yes.
So as long as you have that straight
Understanding in the beginning.
then there's no worries.
Right.
You know, and I think that as women, we don't do that in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
we're so happy trying to please them.
Yeah.
You know, trying to be
That's
their
true.
everything.
Yeah.
You know, which is cool. I mean, I get it. I
She said,
I get it. I get
Right.
it because I'm a nurturer. My man is taken care of in every way. You know, I'm old school.
Yeah.
You know, so it ain't nothing for me to do breakfast in bed.
Right,
You know,
right.
I mean, but it's not out of obligation. It's out of love.
Yes. Yes.
But there's an understanding. This is what I do.
Yes.
This is who I am. This is my being.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so don't get in the way. Don't
Right.
make me choose.
Right.
right.
Yeah, I agree.
She said, "Don't make me choose, because I'm sorry, honey. Somebody's going
I
to be left
love
out.
you.
It
I
won't be the
love you.
music.
I love you. But
Yes. Yes. Yeah. BJ, you got a story about that? The music and well, having to choose
Yeah, well, you know,
to a degree.
to a degree. Well, you
yes.
know, as you know, Joan might not know, but I was married 3 times.
Oh wow. Okay.
3 times.
Yes.
My first daughter, well, I was raped, and I got married to the father
Okay.
so that he wouldn't go to jail because I was up underage. I was 15,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he was like 4 years older than me.
Okay. Okay.
So I married him, and which was a disaster, and didn't last long, 2.5 years. And then I got married again later on,
Yeah.
and that was a 20-year marriage.
Yes.
So the second one was better because he was in the music business.
Right.
You met Eddie, Eddie Watkins,
Yes.
who was a great bass player, and he turned to do gospel
Right.
after we divorced.
Okay.
But you know, not trying to have woe is me, but just being married to an individual that is self-centered. So I kind of was on the back burner,
Right. Right.
as we do.
even though
Right.
I was more prominent in the music business.
Right. Right. Right.
You know, he
Yeah.
played for me. I didn't play for him. He was my, you know,
Right.
bass player.
Right.
But anyway, you know, just being married for that long of a time
Yeah.
and drugs come into view in this business, which
Yeah.
took our marriage because, he turned into, that crack cocaine.
Yeah.
Took
Yeah.
a lot of our folks.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that destroyed our marriage. Well, we had two beautiful girls,
Yeah, yeah.
And so I'm not bitter or anything. I'm just telling the truth
Yeah,
about
yeah.
what, as women, what we go through.
Yeah, yeah.
So the third time around, I said, you know what? I'm not going to deal with a musician ever again. That's it.
She was
It's
done.
like,
She was done.
because it can't be but one diva in this house, and that's me.
That's right. Yes, I'm the queen bee.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm not
I know
putting
a lot of
myself
people who will say that
on
they
the
don't,
back
they won't deal
burner
with musicians because of
anymore.
that. But
I'm
I
not.
didn't find that though. I honestly, I mean, I get that, and
Yeah.
I get that, but I was really blessed
Yeah.
not to have that type of situation
Yes.
because I thought the same thing too.
Yeah,
I thought,
Yeah.
you have to worry about ego, who's
Yes.
more out there,
Yes.
who's more of a
So-
star, and
Yeah.
who's
Right.
shine.
Yeah.
Like you walk in the room and folks look at you instead of them.
Yes.
And
So-
then you feel bad.
Yeah,
But you can't feel bad.
No,
You
no.
gotta be
You
you.
know, so
You
I
gotta be
said
you.
that
That's
third marriage is like I'm going to get the opposite.
Right.
I'm just going to get me a regular guy that just wants to punch that clock and come home and just, be normal.
She said be normal. I
But
never
that's
normal.
hard too because they don't understand the
And,
business.
and
Yeah.
so here we go.
Right.
So, but what I'm saying is that was 20 years.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is I stay as long as I can for the longevity of a marriage because
Yes.
I am old school and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
believe when you make a commitment and you give a person your love, you go through. I believe in what marriage is supposed to be about.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, you
yeah.
stay through thick and thin.
Yeah.
Right.
No questions about it. But that's add all of those years up.
Right. Right. I'm just
That's
saying.
that's a lot
some
of
serious
years.
time right
That's
there.
some serious
Yeah.
time to be married. So when I divorced in 2014, it was like I'm done. I'm good.
BJ was like, I'm finished.
I'm good. And so my walk from then was just be single, just enjoy yourself because at one point I felt like I lost myself.
Yeah.
Even though I never stopped singing. I sung all through all of this,
Yeah.
if it wasn't nothing but in the choir. I sung. I recorded. I did the Las Vegas thing for years.
Yeah, yeah.
I never stopped singing, but I feel like a part of me was destroyed as far as who I am
Yeah.
by giving
so much.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you know what? I like being on my own.
Yeah.
This
But you
is
know
good.
that now.
Yeah,
all those years of your experience taught you something about yourself. And
Yes.
I think it was the same thing with you. It's
Absolutely.
been my journey, of course.
Yes.
And once we learn that self-love and know how to love ourselves unconditionally,
Yes.
and love us for
And
who
that it's
we
okay.
need to
And
be,
it's
and that
And that it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And
then
it's
we feel okay
I'm
to
good.
be free.
Yes.
Right.
And then what is for us will come to us.
Yes, which
You know, it will come to us.
recently it did. It
Yes.
was like bam, here this man comes along that is so cool, confident,
Yes.
Right.
and it just happened.
Yeah.
When
Because
it's right, it's right.
time.
Yeah.
It was time.
And it
for
All
us.
felt
things
so
in his time.
normal. It
That's
felt
right.
so natural.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
I didn't have to put on a front. He doesn't have to put on a front with me.
Mm-hmm,
It's a mature individual who knows who they are
Right,
and
right.
comfortable in their own skin. When you go with me and you show me that you aren't intimidated by
Right.
what I'm doing
Right.
and you're so comfortable.
Yes.
Right.
I said, you know what? This man got it going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that's what's important is for them to
They have
understand
to
your
be
value.
And they have to be
Yes.
Your
comfortable in
value.
their own skin.
They have to be
Yes.
comfortable
They have
in
to be
their own
comfortable
skin.
and not intimidated.
Right,
You know,
right.
I mean, because what we do is something. I guess what's her name? Beyonce talks about it a lot. She talks about Sasha Fierce
Yes.
and then her real self.
Right. Right.
But sing to someone. I can go and sit on someone's lap
Yes.
and sing to them and pour my soul out to them. But they ain't coming home with
They're
me.
not coming home
You know,
with you.
and you know what I'm saying?
They may not
Yes.
know it, but you know it.
But I know it,
Right.
and my man knows it.
That's
Yes,
right.
You know,
yes.
and so if I have a man, they have to know. And once they know that,
Yes.
once they know that,
Yeah.
that it's, you know, this is not leading to, although, you know, in the business, you guys have been in the business, so you've seen what happens.
Yes.
You've
Yes.
seen, I mean, you know, sometimes people can push themselves on you. And I'm not talking about men so much as I'm talking
Right.
about women.
Yes.
Right.
You know,
right.
in the backstage.
Yes,
Right.
You know,
yes.
sometimes I'm like, dang.
Can we calm down? Can we just
Right.
Wow,
Yes.
but you know, but folks are into that star thing, and they'll
Yes.
basically do anything to
Yeah.
be with a star.
Yes.
And but I think again, as long as whoever you're with is comfortable and not intimidated,
Yeah.
and they know that you love them,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and that's the key. They have to know that you love them, and if you love them,
Yes.
you're not going to do anything
Yes.
that's going to
No.
be detrimental
No.
to
No.
you or to them.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. Joan, I appreciate you coming on the show. As Joan is going to be with us next week as well.
Yes,
She's
ma'am.
going to co-host with me, and I'm looking
Yes.
so forward to that.
And it won't be
as you
about
see,
me.
It's, well, it'll still be a little bit about Miss Joan, because we always like to learn. I like to learn more about the people that I meet and get to experience in my journey. And it's just truly been a pleasure to have met you finally.
Thank you.
Same as it is with Miss BJ. I didn't know how dynamic this lady was going to affect my life, but she is, I'm trying not to bring the waterworks, but she's just been such
She
an
knows
inspiration
I'm a
for me.
crybaby.
And I love you, sister. We're going to say goodbye to you guys for today on What's Up Detroit.
What's up, Detroit?
Join us next week at 11. We will see you then. You guys have a great week.